Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm a managing broker here at Maximum One Realtor and Realtor Partners.
My name's Ming Richardson. I'm a compliance broker from Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
We're starting a little bit early today. It's one of those days where we have a lot of things going on. So we kind of got to get running right into it today. So, well, we wanted to start off with making, kind of a quick chat about, who is in your professional support system.
And as a market chef, I would tell you a lot of agents get discouraged, and also they hear all these new innovative marketing technique and strategies and what have you. So it is good to know that you have the right brokerage that will support you, that can update you on what is truly out there. And not only that, we offer mentorship here at Maximum One. And also, your mentor is a good one to go to sometime because they typically have their fingers on the pulse.
Well, and, the great part about real estate, offers us a lot of flexibility, a lot of upward mobility when it comes to, we don't have a lot of limits on our earning potential, things like that. But the negatives is that a lot of times folks feel that even though real estate is a people industry, it can feel really lonely. It feels like everybody is competing against you. And honestly, we can't stress enough that that's not really the case. My sphere of influence is not the same as yours, is not the same as theirs, kind of thing. And 80% of agents get 80% of the business and people that they know and know them. And so it's still a relationship business. So the idea that you can't engage with other agents and be partners, not partners in a formal sense, but have that support system for each other there is really crucial to kind of help you keep going, because there's days that real estate just kind of gets old. We've got each other for sure, and we've always had each other, and that's been really, really great for us.
But it becomes unexciting and also disappointing sometimes.
But the other side of things is, even though we're husband and wife, we live together, but a lot of times like what happens in the boardroom and what happens in the bedroom, I don't recommend that your spouse be your support. Your exclusive support system kind of thing. That should not be your accountability partner, because that makes things really, really weird. And so,
being a certain thing you have to be accountable for, but for if you need someone outside your spouse that can talk about real estate with you, definitely I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So, being a realtor, engage with your local association, with your local board of realtors is a great source of it.
Absolutely. They come up with a lot of new product, as well as vendors that supports the board association.
Well, yeah, a lot of those vendors are really good business people. And they, it's not like there's so many industries that are very closely associated with real estate, that's where you can a lot of times get a lot of really great support from those other industries. That's a really good idea.
Absolutely. And just really quick to touch back on what Alan said about, sphere influence, yours and mine are always not going to basically come together. And honestly, I have Shannon Kirk, one of my favorite mentor for us a while back. She's taking a break right now. But anyway, one thing she said was that I looked at her training program and look at her system procedure. I'm like, this is great stuff. And she said, yeah, I tell my mentee, but the problem is that I can give all the information and they won't follow it. So once again, have an accountability and have someone that can mentor you, and look at their system and really see if that fits you. If not, at least try it because these folks who are successful for a reason.
Yeah. And now we do see a lot of folks who come in and say, no, this is how it should be in real estate. And then they end up getting beat by the system a little bit there. So please, what we're saying is, reach out for support. You need support. You should not be an island in the storm.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on. We want to talk about have you guys heard about this new unfair mortgage tax on those people with high credit? And so, there's been all this information in the news about LLPAs, and that's loan level price adjustments.
Absolutely.
And so this was announced by FHA or FHFA. But it affects conventional mortgages as well, kind of thing. And so the whole idea is that, you know, in the FHA or you know, they adjust loan level price adjustments. These happen periodically. And one thing that everyone is so wound up because they actually go into effect today, at least on the books.
Mhm.
But understand that this was announced in January 19th. So the idea that we've had, I don't know,
Well,
what,
that's-
5 months to get our panties all wound up is kind of funny.
I think a lot of times people don't look at things until the deadline's coming up. And so this is what happened with this particular adjustment.
Well, and the other thing here is that the lenders don't wait until today to implement these changes. These things were announced in January. A lot of lenders started making the changes in January. So for most borrowers, this is like old news. Like they got priced and they got set up with that very, you know, with these loan level price adjustments. And overall, I don't want, you know, there are some, it depends on how you look at it, pros and cons, positives and negatives. You know, the National Association of Realtors, they came out, let me get my thing here. They came out and they said, they said that NAR kind of urges FHA to eliminate the fee increase on strong credit borrowers. And it did, you know, what they did was they moved some fees around and they made things a little bit better for folks who may not have as good a credit score. And then they lower the
down payment.
Yeah. Well, it's all based on how much money they're putting down. And so if you just were to take a look at just this next graph, and I know we're on video, kind of hard to see, but this is the change in purchase applications or purchase loans with the loan level price adjustment.
And what you see in red is the increase. What you see in green is decrease, and what's in white is no change.
Yeah, basically flat. And so what you're seeing is that, you know, like there are adjustments, and most of the positive adjustments are those with lower credit scores. I'm not going to say challenge because honestly, anything over 620 is not like we're talking bad credit. We're not like doesn't even address 580s and that kind of stuff. This is everything really from 640. They have 620 in here, but really anything from 640 is what they're really addressing here. And so we've always had these loan level price adjustments, and folks think, well, gosh, you know, when you look at the 80 to 85%, you know, loan to value range, you know, folks with 15 to 20% down, you know, that rate went up 75 basis points. And so, you know, a lot of folks are, and I'm not saying it's great. Please don't get me wrong. You know, there's a lot of folks in the industry that kind of says, you know, this is, you know, better credit borrowers subsidizing folks with lower credit, and you know, I can't really fight that. But on the other hand, FHA clearly announces that like their goal is to help more people get into home ownership, and this is one of their plans to do it. But you also have to look at this like from the big picture, and that's what I want. Like I've heard we've had borrowers over the past couple of weeks who's like, well, you know, maybe I'm just not going to do this. This is not a good thing for me. Well, first of all, it's been priced in for months now. So like it's not like, you know, all of a sudden their rates are going to go.
Immediately, because they know the whiplash from clients when there's any rate adjustment that they'll get a whiplash of this.
Yeah.
So the lender's already adjusted, but just want you to know officially it is active as of today. And you can see for folks that has higher credit and higher down payment are the one that's affected.
Well, yes and no. So like the previous graph showed this is where these are the changes, but this is actually what those percentages are. And you can still see that anyone under 639 still has the highest rates. Okay. And so the higher your credit score goes,
but reduction from the previous rate.
Correct. And so, but everyone's upset about the correction from where it was to where it is now. But still, no one with a higher credit score is paying more than someone with a lower credit score. And so we need to make sure people understand that. They look at that previous graph and they're like, why am I paying more? Why are they doing better? Look, you know, I mean, it's almost 3 percentage points higher if you're under 640 kind of thing, as opposed to someone that has a 780 at 0.4 of a percent. So it's not like it's gonna, and so yeah, they made adjustments, and we need to understand that, because what we don't want is folks to feel like they've been violated, taken advantage of, that kind of stuff. You know, when you show this graph to them, it makes a lot more sense. Not only that, we've actually seen where some of the higher rates actually came down. So for borrowers, high credit score borrowers, only taking 5% or less as far as the down payment, their
Percentage came
their
down
their
a little.
percentage came down. For those with 20, 25 to 30%, their percents came down. So we saw a lot of it. It's not just bad news across the board. And so this is just kind of and I guess the way it is. And there's no other way to put it. But we wanted to kind of dispel some myths, because there's a lot of people that are just talking all kinds of mess out
News
there
are
about this.
news, but if you don't look at where you came from, where you're going, and the actual percentage and understand it, then it becomes a very one-sided perception.
Yep. Now, overall, mortgage rates basically stayed very flat this past week. And here's my crystal ball. We're heading into a time of really good rates moving forward. Right now, the inflation numbers came out. Fed's going to meet this Wednesday. They're probably going to raise the federal funds rate by a quarter point, but we're still looking at interest rates really coming down. Interest rates are heavily driven by inflation. And if you look at what, and inflation is on a 12-month roll.
Right.
And so we're going into some of the highest inflation times last year, and we're seeing inflation numbers on our side this year coming down. And once we drop off a high inflation number and pick up a lower inflation number, we're going to start seeing those
Rates
overall
coming down.
percentages drop, and then that's going to give us much lower interest rates. So this is my crystal ball. You guys can bust me out if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, we're going to see better rates here really, really soon, moving down into the proper into the
And
summer
two
buying
more
season.
palatable interest
Yes,
rate.
yes. I really want us at 5.5. 5.5 is like a magic number. Once
It
we hit
is.
5.5, our sellers start moving again. And that's kind of been one of the big
More buyers.
holdups. Yeah.
More buyers.
So on the national stage, the Case-Shiller National Pricing Index. So, they're a big national aggregator of real estate data. And so for the last 7 months, they've seen price changes, a negative drop nationwide. And we're seeing where prices are much more moderating here in Georgia. However, that has, that stopped. Like, even nationally, we're not seeing that happen anymore. So, prices are not going down. We're seeing a lot of stability in our market right now. Pending sales are still down about 17%. The biggest thing holding our pending sales down, inventory. We don't have enough inventory right now. Our total active listings for homes is only 7% higher than it was last year. And you can look at that. That's lower than any other previous year that we've pretty much had, with the exception of last year, kind of thing. And we're about to pass that threshold here really soon, probably in the next month or so. We're going to actually be below on total listings this year versus last year very soon. New listings of homes, which is another issue that we have. We're down. We have 22% less new listings this year than we had last year. We need more inventory. Now, I know a lot of it tied up to the interest rate, because a lot of our sellers, they just won't sell until they can get a better rate too.
They got to buy too.
Yeah. So now on the positive side here, almost half of our pending sales are in a contract in 2 weeks. So our sellers need to understand that, this is still a really good market, but it comes down to price.
Right.
It really, really does.
Correctly, you will not move.
Yep. So that being said, our percentage of properties sold above list price has been increasing. So we kind of took a dive that kind of ended in January, and then we've been on a steady increase ever since January, moving up. Now, where we are seeing a little bit of change, disparity here, is in the different pricing tiers of our properties. So what we're seeing is property values appreciate much higher in the mid and the
Lower.
200
First-time home buyer.
200 to 500,000. We're looking at property values continuing to be elevated. What we're seeing is softening is in that 600,000 mark and up. That's where we're seeing prices not necessarily fall, but level. And so, and we're kind of expecting to see that largely because affordability. Everything right now is tied up into affordability. And so the National Association of Realtors, they went out and they do this every quarter. They poll buyers, sellers, that kind of stuff. And so they went out, they said, are you planning on buying another home at the same time you're selling your current one? And so especially for our Gen Z, millennials, even our Gen Xers, yeah, they really are. Now, baby boomers, not so much. Baby boomers are their own little kind of demographic when it comes to that kind of thing.
Well, they're largest segment of wealth, actually.
Yeah, but not the largest
most of them.
segment of buyers.
No.
Our millennials are our biggest segment of buyers out there.
Millennial Gen Z right now.
Yep. So now, they went and what we were just talking about, do you feel locked into your current home due to low interest rates? And so baby boomers are stubborn. They're like, no, you're not locking me into anything. And so the baby boomers don't feel locked in. However, our Gen Z and our millennials feel very much locked into, with current interest rates, and so that's what I was talking about earlier. Like when we see rates hit that 5.5 mark, that's the point where people go, people say, you know what? It's like at 5.5, that makes sense. We're ready to do that kind of thing, because they've already gained a lot of appreciation in there.
Well, even with a high appreciation, the problem is that going forward to the next house, they feel like they're giving up the equity for the next property.
Yeah. Now I wanted to share this with you in here, because this these are things that you should be keying in, especially on your social media, things like that. And so they went and said, why are you considering selling? And they said, so the first one was, I want to take advantage of the current market. I think I can make a profit. And a lot of people have a lot of appreciation built up, especially if they own the home for more than 3 years. They're in really good shape.
Absolutely.
The second one is that my home no longer meets the needs of my family. And actually the second and third is really the same kind of question, which is actually a big one. Want to live closer to friends and family. Are really younger buyers as well. Younger sellers as well as older sellers. That's a big deal. The folks in the middle, not so much, kind of thing. And then folks wanting to downsize. So how much equity do you estimate that's in your home? You can see that the largest segment of Americans feel that there's somewhere in 100 to 150,000. But you can see that there's almost no one in the 10, 25, $50,000 range appreciation.
It doesn't make sense to sell it with that kind of appreciation because of interest rate, and that's why.
And so basically our sellers are in a really great place with appreciation moving forward. Our folks are having a lot of equity as they move forward, that they're going to be able to carry forward to their next property, kind of thing. Now, this is really good for us to understand in managing expectations of our sellers, because it says, what do you expect to happen when you list your property? And so first one, I expect to get my listing price. And that's the biggest one. And what we caution you on is make sure that listing price is right. If you come out of the gate way too high, you're going to fail here. And so you have to show them what's really going on in the market.
And if you have a unique property, I would tell you, my best offer is to have the seller go ahead, do an appraisal on it, because the way I present it is that I sure don't want to leave any money on the table for you.
No.
Just because your property is very unique, whether it's a large acreage, bigger square footage of the neighborhood, the newly updated renovation, what have you. Just make sure that you let your client know that this is what the average is going, because your uniqueness, I'm afraid that we might be leaving some money or asking too much, and therefore we will not get any traffic through your property.
So, you'll see where the first and second most important things or most expected things of our sellers is really comes down to having the proper list price. But the next two come with us doing a much better job of explaining what's going on in the market. Basically, a third of the sellers right now expect the buyers to be willing to forego contingencies, inspections, and appraisals.
Yes.
And that's not the market that we're in. We're moving into a more balanced market. And so like the idea of folks are just going to be oh, I'm going to buy this. This is not summer of 2021 where the market was on fire. It
Well,
isn't.
she listed,
You
it's
know,
gone.
33% of sellers right now expect an all cash offer. We're not seeing that.
No,
At closing table, everything's cash anyway, but we're just seeing where FHA is gaining market share and that kind of thing. So we need to make sure that we're setting clear expectations with our clients. About 30% of our folks expect to get more than their asking price. Well, you're not going to get more than your asking price unless your price is like realistic out there, kind of thing. And almost over 20, over 1 out of 4 expect a bidding war. And can they happen? Those kind of things happen if you set the right price.
once again, it's about pricing,
Yep.
location, condition of property.
So now on the buy side, high income households have driven most of the growth in renters since 2010. And the reason I point this out is because, like for most starter homes, that kind of stuff, you need an income over $75,000. And the growth in rentals has all happened in over $75,000 income individuals, kind of
right.
thing. And so, like that's the big thing to kind of target on. And so a lot of times real estate agents don't have a lot of love for renters. They're kind of like, I don't want to work with renters. Look, renters are a big source of buyers, especially right now.
Right.
And so again, that growth of high income renters has been college educated, married, and young. So those are the ones that you really kind of want to key in on, are college educated, married, and then the younger ones out there. Now, at the same time, we have the U.S. migration trends, meaning where folks are moving in from or out of. You can see that like the areas in blue up north and out west, there's more people moving out. And where are they moving? They're moving into the Sun Belt down here into the South. So the South is a very positive. And so here in Georgia, right now we have more than 5,000 people we're searching to move into the state versus out of the state. So, we're continuing to grow. The Sun Belt. Georgia is a very good place to be for that kind of thing. The National Association of Home Builders, and so they went out and they also do a lot of polls and information on there. And what they said, are you planning on buying a home within 12 months? And that share of adults peaked just now. And so like the highest share that they've had on record of folks who are planning to buy a home in the next 12 months just blew up. And so that's a really great trend for us right there. Seeing we're moving into the summer buying season.
They're probably tired of renting at high.
Yeah, well, that's our hope, right? And so of those, which group is the most interested in buying? We're going to see that millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, and then boomers is the one who's least. But millennials and Gen Z are our two fastest moving categories when it comes to buyers.
They're the highest population.
At the same time, a big push is we're seeing a big push into first time buyers. So those entry level homes, first time buyer homes, that kind of stuff is going to be a really big deal. Reaching out, engaging with first time buyers, the first time buyer percentage is also up big time, kind of thing. It went from 61 to 71%. So we're seeing a big push in first time buyers.
So please go out and advertise first time home buyer seminar with companies, with your sphere influences and what have you.
And so overall, the folks who are actually engaged in buying, we're seeing more buyers on the market right now. Some of that you can say is a more regional, or a trend. What we're seeing is that this is a really big deal kind of running across the board. Overall, new construction sales are continuing to ramp up. We're not where we were back in March of 20, but here this time of year we are moving up into a very positive. We need more inventory.
Absolutely.
And so that's a really good thing. Now this week, we have our relaunch in our McDonough office this week. So I'm teaching lead generation today, marketing and technology secrets on Wednesday, and Friday's going to be business planning. All that's going to be live in the McDonough office and also virtual. Now the relaunch, our post license is only in person. And then on Thursday we have What's Bugging You, Don't Be Scared. That's going to be over in our Fayetteville office.
And guys, listen, there's new bugs out. So if you've taken this class before, I recommend you, if nothing else, go there for knowledge base.
Yes. Also this week, May the 4th be with you is on Thursday. Friday, Cinco de Mayo, or if you're still a Star Wars geek, Revenge of the 5th. And then on Saturday is Kentucky Derby. So we hope that you guys have a great week. If we can be of any kind of service, please call, text, smoke signals. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.